I'm not going to say it's a good morning because it's not a good morning. I'm heartbroken. My heart has been ripped from my chest. But the incident surrounding my daughter, Asia Stewart, and her dying. I hear a lot of stories. Most are not true. Most have been twisted. But again, those are stories. Stories are made to be twisted. We had adults out there in my age group that sit there and was going to watch kids fight. I see it so much on so many times on so many social media platforms where when a fight break out, adults, grown adults, run to the fight. They don't run to the fight to break it up. They don't run to the fight to say y'all wrong. They run to the fight to watch, the fight to record, the fight to record, and then hear everybody go crying when somebody dies.
An arrest has been made in the fatal shooting of a mother of 4 at an apartment complex in Sunnyside. 25-year-old Dasja Wilmore is in custody, charged with the murder of Asia Stewart. Sherman DeSalle has been following this, and he is joining us live from HPD headquarters with an exclusive interview with the victim's father, who's telling us he wishes a calmer path had been taken before the shooting. Sherman.
Yeah, good evening, Caroline. So we did get a hold of some court documents. They reveal that the violence came from actually a multi-day fight involving several women, and witnesses say that Asia Stewart was not involved in this fight. She only went there to de-escalate the situation because it involved her sister. So we spoke earlier exclusively with Carlton Stewart, the father of the victim, right at the spot where his daughter was shot. And there's a growing memorial for her at the Wesley Square Apartments on Calhoun. Court docs read that Sunday night, as the women were fighting, witnesses heard Wilmore, armed with a gun, shout, "If you touch my friend, I'll shoot you," towards another woman involved. And as Stewart tried to de-escalate the fight, that's when the witnesses say Wilmore shoved Stewart. And as Stewart swung at her, police say Wilmore shot Stewart at close range before fleeing the scene.
I know in my heart of hearts that even though she came to help her sister and talk to get the situation resolved, her mind, my voice was there telling her she needed to be home. But for the love of her sister, love of her sibling, which everybody's guilty of that, she came. Sure. She came, but she didn't come with no violence. Asia had worked a 16-hour shift previous to coming over here.
Just after midnight, in a quiet Houston apartment parking lot, a young mother's life was about to end in a way no one could have imagined. Asia Stewart was only 26 years old. She had just finished a long shift at work and should have been heading home to rest. Instead, she stopped at the Wesley Square Apartments in Sunnyside, where a dispute was unfolding between people she knew. What happened next took only seconds. An argument turned physical. A weapon appeared, and before anyone could stop it, Asia Stewart was shot and left fighting for her life in the darkness of that parking lot. By the time the sun came up over Houston that morning, 4 children had lost their mother forever. This is the story of how one moment of violence ended the life of a woman who was simply trying to be there for her family. Welcome to True Crime Diaries, where we uncover shocking crimes and hidden details behind real cases. Subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories. These are real lives and real tragedies, lessons we can't ignore. Let's dive in. The Sunnyside neighborhood in Houston is a place where families live close to one another. Children play outside, neighbors recognize familiar faces, and like many communities, most nights pass without incident. But in the early hours of February 8th, 2026, that sense of normal life was broken. Police were called to the Wesley Square Apartments on Calhoun Road after reports that someone had been shot in the parking lot. When officers arrived, they discovered that a young woman had already been rushed away in a private vehicle, her condition critical. Investigators soon learned that the violence had grown out of a confrontation between several women who had gathered outside. What began as a heated argument quickly escalated into physical fighting, drawing attention from others nearby. In the middle of that chaos was Asia Stewart. She had not gone there looking for trouble. According to investigators, she had shown up because of a disagreement involving people close to her. But as tensions rose and emotions took over, the situation spiraled beyond anyone's control. Within moments, a single gunshot would transform an argument into a homicide investigation, and detectives would begin the difficult process of uncovering exactly how a late-night dispute ended with a young mother losing her life. To understand the tragedy of that night, you first have to understand who Asia Stewart was as a person. She was 26 years old. She was young, but her life was already full of responsibility. Asia was raising 4 children, just 11, 8, 6, and 3 years old. To them, she was more than just a parent. She was their provider, their comfort, and their daily source of strength. Her father later spoke publicly about her life, confirming how deeply devoted she was to her children and the role she played in holding her family together. Asia Stewart's father was overcome with grief as he spoke about losing his daughter. Through his pain, he shared his disappointment in the adults who were there that night. Instead of stepping in to stop the fight, many chose to stand back and record on their phones. He firmly believed that if someone had taken action to restore peace, the tragedy might have been prevented. For him, the pain was not just about losing his daughter. It was knowing that the violence may have been stopped if someone had simply stepped forward.
I'm not going to say it's a good morning because it's not a good morning. I'm heartbroken. My heart has been ripped from my chest. But the incident surrounding my daughter, Asia Stewart, and her dying. I hear a lot of stories. Most are not true. Most have been twisted. But again, those are stories. Stories are made to be twisted and fabricated to whatever the person that's telling it is telling it. That's how they telling it. I get that. But my biggest question to everybody is, and this is something that stemmed from Asia's whole family. How do y'all expect kids to have conflict resolution when they grow up and see their parents not being able to have conflict resolution or problem solving or be in situations and know how to go about handling a situation properly? How do we expect for these kids to handle situations and know how to maneuver in certain rooms and certain things when most of y'all don't know how to do it? Answer that for me. If you're my friend and you're on this Facebook and you see this post, answer that for me. But at the same time, share this. This needs to be put out there because a lot of these kids are moving with no knowledge of nothing. They've seen their mamas scream at the top of their voice or yell at them. They've seen their daddy yell at the top of their voice. They've seen things that they should have seen and heard things that they shouldn't have heard. It wasn't taught things that they need to have been taught. So naturally they grab and they just do what they do without knowing the consequences, without knowing how to problem solve or conflict resolution. Because this problem that took place, this instance that took place could have easily been solved. We had adults out there in my age group that sit there and was gonna watch kids fight. I see it so much on so many times on so many social media platforms where when a fight break out, adults, grown adults, run to the fight. They don't run to the fight to break it up. They don't run to the fight to say y'all wrong. They run to the fight to watch, the fight to record, the fight to record, and then hear everybody go crying when somebody died. We praise John with the gun. We praise such and such, whatever girl. I'm not going to call the girl that killed my baby name out. I'm going to give her family grace, even though she didn't give mine grace. We praise them or they kill us. We didn't just lose Asia today. We lost this little girl too. Her mama lost a child. That little girl baby finna lose a mama. This shit run deep. We don't need the KKK no more. We killing ourselves. We killing ourselves. We would be extinct pretty soon. Black people. And we wonder why we so low on the totem pole. Y'all think y'all really out here popping y'all shit with y'all designer this, designer that, and this and that, that and this. When in actuality as a whole, we are poor mentally and emotionally. How can we're not rearing up these children right. I stayed on mine. Asia went over there to Wesley Square, but you better know in the back of Asia's mind, my mother voice was in her mother ear telling her to stop running over there to Wesley Square. But at the same time, I understand the love my child had for her sister took her over there. And I'm not mad at Brittany. I'm not mad at the girl that killed my baby. I'm not mad at the person that called my baby over there. I'm not mad. I'm hurt from every single soul that was in Wesley Square, that was in that circle. I'm mad. I'm hurt because this could have worked out a better way. And if you know me, you know I never stood on the side of mother wrong. When Asia was wrong, she was wrong. When she was right, she was right. I didn't give a fuck. And to the people that was out there, i.e. her sister, her cousins, they know me. They know my heart. And they know what I stood for. And I definitely didn't stand for this because had I been out there, it wouldn't have been no fighting. I would have whipped Asia ass. I would have broke Asia mother jaw. I would have broke Brittany jaw. I would have broke Misha jaw. Mine, I would have been kicking ass. I wish the fuck y'all would be out here fighting. Y'all better get the motherfucker this truck. And anybody know me know I'm not telling no lies. I would have kicked some ass out there. It wouldn't have been no motherfucking fighting. I'm that grown up that don't play that shit. But y'all ask yourself that. How can these kids be successful and be able to solve problems and not reach for a gun and not want to throw fists and beat on their fellow sister and brother when they've never been taught these things? They've never seen these things.
Asia Stewart's father also spoke out about false information spreading online after her death. Through his grief, he made it clear that he would not allow anyone to claim victory by spreading lies about his daughter, and to respect Asia's memory instead of sharing harmful rumors.
Good morning, y'all. Do not let Ivy claim victory over y'all this morning. Ivy needs attention. She's always needed attention, and you all have always given her attention. That baby has a mental illness, understand that. And she feeds off of the internet. The best thing y'all can do for Ivy and the best thing y'all can do for Asia is block Ivy on social media, because everything she does is for social media. I don't want nobody hitting Ivy. I don't want nobody putting their hands on Ivy in the sake of my child. If y'all want to honor Asia, block Ivy. Move on. Don't let nobody win over y'all mental, over y'all emotions. Don't, because y'all hitting her, y'all going to her page and looking at whatever she said about Asia. If you knew Asia, you knew Asia, you knew what it was. So it shouldn't be something that somebody can post that can trigger y'all. I'm not triggered by whatever the fuck she said, nor have I even looked at what she said, because I know my child. You understand me? So do me this favor and do Asia this favor, this service. And do Ivy this service, because that baby needs help. She needs mental help. Block her so she gets to a point where she has to really sit down and self-reflect. Look at herself from the inside out. Because the tongue is mighty. So do me that favor and do my child that favor in that service. And look at yourself and do not let this child, Ivy, win favor on you by making you angry this morning, by touching something in you that you don't want touched, which is your heart, your soul, your spirit. She's looking for attention, and we're not going to give her attention. We're going to remove her off of social media the right way. We're going to force her to get help because she needs help. Because if you know, you know, Asia was loved. She was loved by y'all. She was loved by me, her daddy. And those are things that Ivy never experienced probably. Ivy never had a mama that loved her the way Yolanda loved Asia. Ivy never had a daddy that loved her the way I loved Asia, or poured into her the way I poured into Asia. Because if you know Asia and you know me, Asia was poured into. Asia was built up, she was reared up. And that's why she was the child she was. So we're not gonna yell at Ivy. We're not gonna even go to her video. We're just gonna delete Ivy, and we're gonna let Ivy deal with her mental issues and hopefully get the mental help she needs.
Asia worked as a security guard, a job that required long hours, discipline, and sacrifice. It wasn't easy work. The shifts were demanding, and the pay often came at the cost of rest and personal time. But she showed up anyway, because her children depended on her. Those who knew her describe her as someone who took her responsibilities seriously. She was not someone living recklessly. She was someone trying to build stability in her life. On the night everything happened, Asia had just completed a 16-hour shift. Most people would have been exhausted after working that long. Most people would have gone straight home. But Asia made a different choice. When she learned that her sister was dealing with an ongoing dispute, she didn't ignore it. She didn't stay away. She showed up, hoping to support her family during a difficult situation. It was a decision rooted in loyalty, in love, in responsibility. She wasn't there to cause harm. She was there because that's who she had always been, someone who stood by the people she cared about. No one could have imagined that this decision would become the final chapter of her life. And no one, especially her children, could have imagined that the person they depended on most would never come home again. By the time Asia Stewart arrived at the Wesley Square Apartments that night, the situation was already tense. According to investigators, the disagreement that led to the shooting did not appear out of nowhere. It had reportedly been building over time, involving people who were familiar with one another. Emotions were already high before Asia ever stepped into the parking lot. Reports later confirmed that the gathering included several women connected through family or personal relationships. It was late, around 12:45 in the morning, when the confrontation unfolded outside among parked cars and apartment buildings. The night air was quiet, but the voices in that parking lot were not. Witnesses describe a heated exchange that quickly intensified beyond simple words. Arguments turned into physical contact. Pushing turned into fighting. What may have started as an attempt to settle a personal conflict was now spiraling into chaos. Asia was there because someone she loved was involved. According to statements gathered during the investigation, she became part of the confrontation while trying to support her sister during the dispute. Around them, the apartment complex remained mostly still. Residents were inside their homes, unaware that outside, a life-changing moment was approaching. The confrontation grew more intense with each passing second. People were no longer just arguing. They were reacting emotionally, physically, and impulsively. And in that environment, where anger had taken control, one person made a decision that would end in irreversible tragedy. Within moments, the situation would cross a line that could never be undone, and Asia Stewart would become the victim of deadly violence. What happened next unfolded in seconds, but the consequences would last forever. According to investigators, the physical confrontation in the parking lot brought Asia Stewart face-to-face with 25-year-old Dasja Wilmore. Witnesses later told police that Wilmore had been standing nearby during the altercation, watching the situation develop as tensions continued to rise. As the confrontation escalated, witnesses reported that Wilmore was armed with a handgun. Some recalled hearing warnings during the chaos, threats that made it clear the situation had become far more dangerous than anyone expected. Then, in the middle of the struggle, Wilmore allegedly pulled out the weapon. A single gunshot rang out across the parking lot. Asia Stewart had been hit. The bullet struck her in the abdomen at close range, causing devastating injuries. In that instant, everything changed. The confrontation immediately stopped. Shock replaced anger. Panic replaced confrontation. People who had been standing nearby moments earlier were now faced with the reality of what had just happened. Asia collapsed, critically wounded. There was no ambulance at first. Instead, those around her rushed to get her into a vehicle, knowing every second mattered. She was driven to Ben Taub Hospital in a desperate attempt to save her life. Doctors worked to treat her injuries, but despite their efforts, the damage was too severe. Asia Stewart was pronounced dead shortly after arriving at the hospital. She was only 26 years old. What had begun as a confrontation between individuals had now become a homicide investigation. And for Asia's children, her family, and everyone who loved her, life would never be the same again. As the reality of Asia Stewart's death began to settle in, the focus quickly shifted to finding out exactly what had happened and who was responsible. Officers with the Houston Police Department's Homicide Division responded to the scene at the Wesley Square Apartments. The parking lot, which had been filled with chaos just moments earlier, was now quiet again. But the evidence left behind told a clear story. Detectives carefully examined the area, documenting the scene and collecting physical evidence that would later become critical to the case. Investigators began speaking with witnesses who had been present that night. These individuals provided important accounts of how the confrontation unfolded and identified the person they believed had fired the fatal shot. Their statements gave detectives a clearer picture of the events leading up to Asia's death. Through interviews and evidence gathered during the investigation, authorities identified 25-year-old Dasja Wilmore as the suspect. Police worked to locate her and move forward with the legal process. Eventually, Wilmore was taken into custody and formally charged with murder in connection with Asia Stewart's death. The case was then turned over to the Harris County District Attorney's Office, where prosecutors began reviewing the evidence as part of the criminal justice process. For investigators, their job was to reconstruct the truth piece by piece. For Asia's family, the investigation represented something else entirely. It was the beginning of a long and painful journey through the justice system, as they waited for accountability in the loss of someone they loved deeply. And while an arrest had been made, the emotional impact of that night could not be undone. The investigation had provided answers, but it could never bring Asia Stewart back. The loss of Asia Stewart rippled far beyond the parking lot where the shooting occurred. Her family was left grappling with a grief that felt impossible to bear. For children, some still too young to fully understand what had happened, suddenly found their mother gone. Her father described the heartbreak of knowing his daughter's children would grow up without her guidance, warmth, and protection. Neighbors and friends also mourned. Many remembered Asia as a hardworking mother who always put her family first, a woman who, despite long hours at her job, still made time for her children and those she loved. In the days following the shooting, the community came together in small acts of remembrance. Candles were lit, flowers placed at the apartment complex, and messages of support shared online. But for her family, every gesture was tinged with sorrow. The absence of Asia in the lives of her children was a void that nothing could fill. Her father expressed a profound sense of loss, not just for the daughter he loved, but for the bright, loving presence she brought to everyone around her. He spoke of Asia's caring nature, how she would step in for her family without hesitation, and how that very instinct led to her final moments. Grief, in its rawest form, is unrelenting, and in the case of Asia Stewart, it was compounded by the shock of sudden, violent loss. Her story serves as a reminder of how fragile life can be, and how one tragic moment can forever change the lives of those left behind. Her family continues to carry the pain of her absence every day, holding on to memories of her love, her dedication, and the life that was taken far too soon. Asia Stewart's life was defined by her love for her family, her strength, and her devotion to those she cared for most. She was a young mother, a daughter, and a provider, someone who worked tirelessly to give her children a better life. On February 8th, 2026, all of that was tragically cut short in the blink of an eye. A night that began as a moment of concern for family ended in irreparable loss. Her story is a stark reminder of how quickly ordinary moments can become tragic, and how a single act of violence can devastate an entire community. It is a story not just of loss, but of love, courage, and the choices we make for the people we care about. Though Asia is no longer here, her memory lives on in her children, in her family, and in the hearts of those who knew her. Her life may have been brief, but it was filled with care, responsibility, and unyielding dedication, a life that deserved safety, love, and the chance to continue. As her family and community seek justice, Asia Stewart's story stands as both a warning and a testament. The decisions we make, the courage we show, and the love we give can define our lives. But sometimes, even the strongest, most caring individuals are caught in the cruelest circumstances. In remembering Asia Stewart, we honor a mother, a daughter, and a life that, though ended too soon, still leaves a lasting impact on all who loved her. Her story will not be forgotten. Her children will grow up knowing who she was. And for every viewer, her life is a call to value those we love and to cherish the moments we have with them. That's a wrap on today's case. But the story doesn't end here. There are still countless voices unheard, stories hidden in the shadows, and truths waiting to be uncovered. Here at True Crime Diaries, we're committed to digging deeper, sharing the facts, honoring the victims, and keeping their memories alive. If you found this story meaningful, hit subscribe, like this video, and turn on notifications so you're always among the first to see when a new case is released. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.